say I'm taking a girl on a date. Say I picked up a girl randomly on the street or the mall. I don't ask what job she has. I don't ask her what her future plans, if she can cook, is she nurturing? Like, I don't ask those questions. My whole thing is like, I'm trying to get to know this woman. Hopefully I'm attractive and my personality is good enough that she's going to give me opportunity to just spend time with her. Just spend time. Then I have to convince her who I am now. Then I have to convince her, look, I work this job. I live here. I do this. I do.
This woman, she's really wealthy, and she said, I'm not getting married so I can take care of a man. Like, I want somebody who can provide. But she already has money.
But I think that's just them being in their feminine.
Fair.
That's just them being in their feminine. Because if you're in your feminine, then you always want to be taken care of. Like, you never want a scenario where you're not taken care of.
Fair.
Like,
so you just need to find somebody in your financial bracket.
It's tough. I did see something about again, this is an older white gentleman. I don't even know who he is, but you know how it is when you see a white person with like an English or British accent talking about some historical facts, you tend to believe them. You think what they're saying is like the truth because they seem like they're a historian and they've been locked up in a cave just reading notes and books on people. But basically a guy was saying, I guess it was like an old interview, and he's basically predicting that, like, you know, once women start getting jobs and stuff like that, like the birth rate's gonna decline and it's just natural. And basically, to sum up what he was saying, he was basically going on and saying the fact that women's success tends to be detrimental to the future success of society in terms of how it's structured.
For sure.
So that's why there's a lot of pushback in whether, you know, women should work or not. And then there's also pushback in are the men capable of taking care of the women? That's why a lot of women will say men aren't capable or they don't have enough resources, because I think the societies work better when women don't have to work but are able to be taken care of as well.
Yeah.
But the cost to be taken care of is more expensive these days.
For sure.
And the men aren't keeping up with those prices. So what happens is relationships start declining because the women are not trying to deal with men that aren't making as much as them. Because they're making money, it changed the whole shift of society where they don't need to rely on a man. And then they don't need to think about having a child neither. So the main thing of them taking care of themselves, that's off the table. They can do that for themselves. So that was the main thing they're looking for, someone to take care of them. But if they're able to take care of themselves, then now they can really nitpick on who they want. Now who they want may not want them just because they have money, because money doesn't make a woman attractive. Money makes a man attractive.
I do see a lot of conversations or threads about women, like older women, talking about how they spent a lot of their younger years building their career. And now that they're a little bit older, they're wanting to get into a relationship. And it's so hard to get into a relationship because, number one, I think they're a little bit older. So what they want is a little bit more niche.
Of
and
course.
So I think it decreases their pool of like candidates. And that makes it so much harder because when you think about how many successful men exist, especially when it comes to age and it comes to financial brackets, it's not as wide.
Yes.
And then you have to hope a lot of the time when you want something, it also wants you back. You know?
Exactly. But what sucks about it is that if traditionally women if traditionally women would rely on men to like be the breadwinners, and then that shifts, all of a sudden when you start, you know, going through it with the fine-tooth comb, you start to see the flaws of men, right? Because now the men and women are competing against each other for the same jobs, or are making the same amount of money, or the woman's making more than the man. So all of a sudden, men are now in positions they've never been in before, where there's a woman that they might think they're more competent than just by like historical facts and all that stuff. So the arrogance still going to be there with the guy, where he's going to be like, oh, why is she getting paid this much? Like, I can do this much more, you know, that patriarchal arguments and those little rhetorics will come into play. But the fact of the matter is now that men have to compete with women, and if the woman is out competing them, they're eliminated in the dating pool. That's how it works for a woman. So a woman's playing an elimination game as she climbs.
For sure.
She's actually eliminating bad candidates for herself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a bad thing. Those are men she's not going to go after. But see, women of the past, what would have happened is, to say the truth, is that a lot of women would have to settle for a man.
Yeah.
That's why things were working.
Do
in
you
a
think
sense.
that's why sometimes men date younger, because expectations might be a little bit lower?
I think that works. Again, I think the female-male dynamic has to be beneficial on both sides.
Okay.
So I think why men would prefer to date younger, and I think this is this just goes back to like generationally, culturally, and all these different things. Why I think a guy would date younger is because, one, if he's looking at youth and fertility, those are already selling points. So youth will always, like having youth and not having youth, like people will choose youth because usually that's associated with vibrance, with more energy, stuff that maybe that can make a person feel younger that's a little bit older, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a younger spirit. I think those are like attractive traits that somebody can have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think why men would go younger, it's because, especially in this day and age, because of the shift of finances, if you date someone, say in your age bracket, and say they're making as much as you or near your money, you might not be as attractive to them, to the woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean, where sometimes as you climb as women, inherently, and it's not on purpose or anything, and it shouldn't be this way, but this is how it is that you're playing an elimination game.
Yeah.
The woman's playing an elimination game. The guy's not playing an elimination game. As he goes up in the ranks, as he gets more money, he's not eliminating his potential, the potential women he would date. He's
His
not
pool's
eliminating
actually getting
them.
bigger.
His pool is not expanding. Now he has abundance of choices of whether he wants to go young, older, this or that.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's not gonna go to a woman that's superior than him financially, because what benefit does he get in that situation?
For sure.
So that's not gonna be his first option. Now he could do that, and there are men that do that will coexist with somebody that makes more or makes the same amount. They can make that work. That may work in some scenarios, but that's not an ideal that the woman nor the man wants. Like an equal union.
For sure.
I think you want to be equal in terms of humans and treatment. You don't want, someone to be more superior in that. But I think when it comes to finances, whatever, I don't think it's realistic to have anything 50-50. And I think people don't want 50-50. They want to take this responsibility and that person takes that responsibility. We do different things. I don't want to have to go under the hood of the car and change oil. So the man's going to go do that. That's a man's job.
Yeah.
Traditionally, that's a man's job. And if the man said, well, I don't want to have to, cook or whatever the case
I think they
may
mean
be.
50-50 when it comes to money, not as it comes to roles, because there'll never be 50-50 when it comes to roles. There'll always be somebody who does something better.
But I think people have the rhetoric, it's 50-50 on
money.
everything.
You think so?
Even 50-50 for money, in my opinion,
I think
is not
50
true. Because
I think 50-50 on money is what people typically do not want. But I think in general, relationships are technically 50-50. Sometimes it might be more than the other. But I think it won't always be money. Like there'll be other things that you're doing.
See, but I don't understand the 50-50 concept too, because it's like, okay, we're both together. We're 50-50. But it's like, how are we 50-50? I don't understand. Like, how do we come in? Like, okay, if I go out of my way to court you, and I've shown my what should I say? My skill set, my like who I am. Like I showed you who I am. I'm presenting myself to you in the best way. I'm giving you a presentation of the type of man I am, what I'm capable of. I'm giving you all those type of things. So now you, as the recipient, are just receiving things.
But I think women also have to show you, like, basically their resume in order for you to want to date them as well.
I don't think so. To like the same, like not to the same
maybe
degree.
it's not to the same
like,
degree.
Men
but
don't have a laundry list, where women have more of a laundry list of the do's and don'ts and what they expect out of a man.
I think men also go into sort of like courtship of women with the mentality that you want certain things from a woman. You'd want her to be feminine. That's one. You might say, oh, you want her to be natural. That's another thing. You might say, oh, I want her to be fit as well, like have a certain type of lifestyle. There's that as well. Like money might not come into it because men aren't necessarily looking for money, but I think there are things that men do look for in women. Like cooking might be another one. You might want somebody who cooks. So that's on your list too. So you're kind of thinking to yourself, like, does she have the things that I would want in a potential wife or a potential girlfriend? So I think there is a list. It might not be as extensive for men as it is for women, but I think maybe your list is just shorter, if that makes sense.
So this is what I'll say when it comes to men and women. So women do things more intentionally when it comes to relationships. Why? Because they have inherent value. They know when they're born. It's not like when a guy's born, we have inherent value. We have to earn our value. A woman has inherent value. Men will want you because you're a woman. You won't want a man because he's a man. You'll want a man because what he can do for you as well as being a man. It's two things. It's not just you exist as a man. A guy just wants a woman, just wants a being that's a woman if he's heterosexual. That's what he wants. He wants to enjoy that. And he's not going to make a laundry list that's going to shoot him in the foot, because men work out of scarcity where women work out of abundance. Women have a lot of options. Men have few options.
Yeah.
Hold on. Reason why I say women have a lot of options, because like I said, women have inherent value.
Okay, fair.
So when you have inherent value, it doesn't matter because your options aren't what you want. You still have the options.
Okay, fair enough.
If you go outside and you go and ask guys if they would go on a date with you, you would get way more yeses than I would if I went outside and went to a bunch of random chicks and asked for the same thing. So this is what I'm trying to talk about. You're only lonely in your head. You go outside, any guy will want you. You're lonely in your head. You think no guy wants you. Of course, the guys you want might not want you because you're thinking too grand of yourself in some instances. This is how some women are.
Yeah,
and then they'll be like, I don't have options. I don't have options. Like, yes, you do. You do have options. You just don't like your options.
Yeah.
Now, men can actually be in a situation where they don't have any options. They do not have options. Like, there's men that exist. They're called incels.
Okay.
These are the guys that they say do the craziest stuff, right?
Okay.
And the fact of the matter is that men have always been dealing with this, especially with lack of, interaction with women and dealing with women. And some people disengage or disassociate themselves because they cannot operate with them. They cannot get them. They cannot charm them. So what happens to those men? Those men will never have any option because they already canceled out that that opportunity. Women won't be in that situation.
Yeah.
They just need to go outside, and then there'll be somebody that'll say yes.
Yeah.
There will be a person. So that's what I'm just saying, where women, when you go out, they have more of a laundry list because they know what their worth is. Now a man has to prove his worth. So if a man, say I'm taking a girl on a date, say I picked up a girl randomly on the street or the mall. I don't ask what job she has. I don't ask her what her future plans, if she can cook, is she nurturing? Like, I don't ask those questions. My whole thing is like, I'm trying to get to know this woman. Hopefully I'm attractive and my personality is good enough that she's going to give me opportunity to just spend time with her. Just spend time. Then I have to convince her who I am now. Now I have to convince her, look, I work this job. I live here. I do this. I do that. Now she's evaluating, okay, is this guy worth my time? And I still have to pay for the date and do all those things. But the flip side, a guy's not going to put that pressure on himself to be like, oh, when she comes, like you said, the natural stuff and all that, he would have figured that out beforehand. So I'm talking about when he already chose that he's going to go spend money on you. Because when a guy goes on a date with you, he's making a choice to spend money on you. That's a clear choice. And women take that for granted. They're just like, oh, I'm just test trying. But the guy's like, I'm spending money because my interest is here.
For sure.
So the interest is more on the guy's side, and the onus is more on the guy's side. But the pickiness is more on the girl's side. She can choose whether she wants to continue this or not. The guy already committed to it. Once he spends $1 on this chick, he's committed to spending time, money, effort, and energy on this woman that he might not get ever back.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm trying to talk about, the options where women can be more picky and guys can't. Because once they choose to go out with you, they've already invested a lot into that. And then if you don't give them what they want, you hold all the cards. They don't.
Yeah,
so they can just be denied, and that's how that goes.
Yeah.
But like that's why I said for the 50-50 concept, I don't understand that because like I said, a guy, it's not like the woman's going out of her way to court you as the guy and do all the most to impress you. The man's usually doing that to impress the woman or get her attention and stuff of that nature. Not everyone's different. Not every situation's like that. But I do think that just generally speaking, there's no 50-50. We do things differently.
Yeah.
There's no
for sure.
conversation of percentages. There's just conversations of leader and those that want to be led. Like
sure.
so in any scenario, someone's leading and then others are getting led. When I work with somebody at work, someone's leading and then someone's getting led.
Yeah.
It's not that they're the leader, but they take lead, so you follow who takes lead in what scenario.
Yeah. I do think the whole 50-50 thing, though, is mainly about money. I just think women don't want to be spending a whole bunch on men who aren't either. I think they just don't want to be spending more on a man than he is spending on her. I think that's just like what the 50-50 is.
Okay, so
I would say that, and I think
so
that,
you're saying 50-50 is financial. They want to split bills.
They don't want to.
Oh, you're saying
I think they don't want to, period.
Okay, so you're
it's like,
50-50, you're just saying equal in terms of the relationship.
I think, okay, so from what I understand from conversations that I've seen is that I think women typically do not, and this isn't for all women.
Yeah.
Typically women do not want to go on a date and the bill comes and he's saying to her like 2 separate bills, let's split it in half, or like I'll pay for what I got, you can pay for what you got type of situation.
So where did the arrogance come from that some stranger's supposed to pay for your food? No, I just want to know for the audience, where did this arrogance come from that a stranger that you're just meeting has to pay for your meal?
I don't think it's arrogance. Like, okay. I think it's just the fact that people like to be taken care of.
People? Because I don't remember a guy expecting any woman to split any bill.
Okay, fine.
In most cases.
Women typically like to be taken care of. Like
women.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we would prefer to be taken care of. And I don't think it's
and there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think there is, because at the end of the day, if you have certain needs and certain requirements, especially out of men or out of a partner, typically you will find somebody who's willing to do that, right? You might not want to end up in a relationship with somebody who's not willing to do the things that you want. Otherwise, you're probably going to end up being unhappy.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
So I think when it comes down to finances, especially for women that are typically well off financially, they would like to have somebody spend on them. You know? And it might always be women who are well off. Like I think maybe even more than that, women would typically like to be taken out and the bills covered, and they're like, oh, they might do something else to kind of balance it out, so it might be he paid for this first date, so the second date, like she might pay for, I don't know, or the second date she might cook for him. So it's like it levels things out in a way. It might not necessarily be financially as in I'm putting money down, but it's in terms of I got groceries, I thought about you, I cooked for you, and this is what I did, so.
Yeah, that'd be perfect, right? That'd be a great scenario.
But it doesn't always happen. So.
Of course not.
And I think it all just comes down to, I think, depending on the person, depending on society, things just vary. Because I always watch videos on social media where girls are talking about what they cook for their boyfriends. Yeah. And I read the comments and people are like, could never be me. I would never cook like this.
Of course, I would never do this.
I would never do this. I'd never do that. So
they're in the comments. If you have your own relationship, you don't need to be commenting on others. It's simple.
But I do think that sometimes there are people who are willing to go quote unquote, it wouldn't be called 50-50, but they will balance things out in terms of the things that they do.
So this is my question. So now we're in a relationship together and you came in with the idea that you wanted certain things to get taken care of, right? But we're already connected now. It's been 2 years, 3 years, whatever. We've connected. You've seen who I am, whatever. And now what happens if you get some promotion or I get demoted and you still want to be taken care of? How does that work? So to me, I'm asking the question of, if you're a man and you're not able to hold or fulfill your part of the bargain, does that mean the woman has the right to leave you then because you came in spending and paying for certain things like quality of life, obviously, whether that was, having a house, going out to dinners, going to sports game, entertainment. You had a certain lifestyle when you first were dating, and say that starts to decrease. The man loses his money, maybe loses his job, maybe has some mental health issues or something going on, maybe has nothing going on, maybe just bad luck, down on his luck. When we talk about women wanting to be taken care of and wanting this and wanting that, do you believe that these same women are willing to stay in the pocket when times get rough? Because I think a lot of men, when they deal with women that want them for resources, like maybe to go out and experience stuff, the man kind of has in his head that he has to keep this type of lifestyle up.
Yeah, I think, and this is probably not the best answer to it, but I do believe that it comes down to how somebody's raised, because I think that plays a huge role in how people react to certain things happening in life,
Okay.
Because I think when it comes to money and finances, especially if like you're dating somebody who is an entrepreneur or has something like that, like it's not always guaranteed.
Of
like
course.
money's not always guaranteed. Like maybe if you've come from generational wealth, that's a little bit more stable than like if you're newly found money.
Yeah.
It's a completely different situation, And so I think that when typically men find themselves in a position where they used to be able to provide and then they can't provide anymore, depending on how the woman was raised and what her morals are, she might stay, she might not stay. And I think that in those circumstances, speaking for myself, like I've seen these things happen to people before and their families and their parents have still stayed together. So it's just kind of like a testament to why you chose to get married in the first place, because you'd hope that you didn't get married for money,
Yes.
And I imagine, especially for men, going from a position where you're fulfilling the role of a typical man in the household where you're providing, and then suddenly you're not able to do that anymore. That takes a hit on men. I imagine it does.
Of course.
It'll
The
really
confidence is not going to be there
exactly.
that this relationship is going to work.
And even like I know sometimes I do see things where people talk about when men don't make as much money as women, like women don't really respect them as much anymore. So that also comes into play too. So I think there's a lot of pressure on a man when they aren't able to provide in a way that they used to be able to. I don't think it is grounds to leave a man, but you would hope that if things aren't going well, if you can see that he's putting an effort to sort of rectify the situation, to do what he can to, get back to that position, I think the effort is what counts.
Okay, so but would you think if that's the case and you're dealing with somebody and they're down on their luck and they're not provided, do you think that you in turn have to downgrade your life and work with what he's got going
think you
on
do.
as a person that you chose to be in a relationship with?
I think that's just being sensitive to the situation, because it would be very unrealistic for you to expect the same things when they're not in the same position. It's the same way you always see that when men get promotions and life is going better, they buy a better house for their family, they buy their wives a better ring, they do certain things, they take their families on vacation. So in turn, if they're not able to afford those things anymore, I think it only makes sense to be able to live within your means, because it will not always be like that,
Okay.
And I think especially for women, like I think it's hard to go I know it's hard for some women to be able to be in a position where they're now quote unquote providing because they're making a little bit more money and that is the situation. But I also think that when you're picking somebody to get married to or to date long term,
Yeah.
I think you really have to vet. And it goes both ways for
Okay.
men and women. Like, I think you really have to vet and understand who you're dealing with. Because if you know that whoever it is that you're dealing with will not be there for the downtimes, then you need to understand that.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, speaking on that and speaking on needing to know who you're with, and especially in troubled times, we're gonna get into a little pop culture, little news, little gossip that's been going on. So pretty much Young Thug, he's had a lot of jail tapes leaked. So pretty much in these leaked tapes, he's pretty much shitting on a lot of different rappers, different people that are famous, et cetera, et cetera. So one of the leaked audios was actually him speaking on sleeping with one of the correctional officers in the prison, and pretty much saying that his girl won't find out, you know. And obviously these are private recordings, but he's in jail, so they're public now. So, you know. Now, I wanted to speak on that. So the woman he cheated with is a rapper as well, Mariah the Scientist, I believe, and gorgeous woman, you know, probably no reason to cheat on a woman like that. But they always say, what they say? One man's...
I think it's one man's trash.
Is another man's treasure,
yeah,
in a sense,
something like
but
that.
Maybe it's backwards.
But
maybe.
Beyonce also got cheated on, so...
Well, the best of them get cheated on. Is another man's treasure. There you go.
There we
so,
go.
you know, so... He kind of messed up with that audio getting leaked. Obviously, he's been cheating. He's a rapper. He's in that entertainment lifestyle. This is what happens. Usually relationships don't last in that situation. But she was holding him down in jail. And I wanted to ask you about, you know, if you've ever considered when while you're with a person, if a situation happened where they went to jail, how long are you sticking around in that relationship? I need to know.
Yeah, that is so hilarious because I'm just thinking to myself.
And before you answer that, I want to ask you the question also of why do you think women would hold down a guy that's potentially going to be going to jail for a long time?
Yeah. I just think that's so hilarious because I watched this show. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Love After Locked Up. And so basically,
these Netflix kind of things.
So it's typically about women who date men in jail and then they come out of prison and, you know.
But they're already currently in jail. They're already
so
like
they'll meet
how did
them.
they get to know these people?
I think I actually have no
Maybe
idea.
Online
so
somehow,
I think that there might be an app or something of the sort.
They got some technology in jail apparently. They can go on Hinge in there.
And so I've always thought to myself, what in the world is going on here? You know, like I'm just like, how did we get to this point? Like, I need to sit down with them and understand that perspective. But I also think for myself, I'm just like, you know, I would hope that whoever it is that I'm dating would not go to jail. You know, like I'm just hoping it does not happen.
But worst case
but
scenario,
if
they do go to jail and say, like, okay, what's the longest duration? I need to know in your head if just off instinct, off gut, not off, oh, this is the love of my life. Let's just say like let's put it in that perspective. Your love of your life and they got caught up in something, you know. Are you going to stick around if your man goes to jail and say he's facing about 3 years? Say we'll get
I think 3 years is doable.
Is not if it's doable. Would you wait for somebody 3 years that's sitting in jail? I think, and you'd be committed to that person
for sure.
You'd be committed to visiting them.
I don't think I could do
calling them
for sure. I would not be able to do longer than 3 years, and that's just me, honestly speaking. Because
but you can last 3 years. 3 years is a long time.
It is a long time. But
if it doesn't work out after that, you've locked in 3 years.
And it is what it is. If it doesn't work for after like that 3 years, but it's the same way you could have them out of prison and you could be dating for 3 years and it doesn't work. So it's like,
I guess you're right. Proximity doesn't necessarily
make it any different, you know.
It can be stronger technically if you could keep it for 3 years ongoing.
For sure. And it's just I think it just comes down to how strong that bond is. But like, let's say it was the love of my life and, you know, I just envisioned the rest of my life with this person. I could do 3 years.
But I'd say this much. Okay, so if you would do those 3 years, now let's put it in the guy's perspective.
I don't think men are waiting 3 years. Do you think so?
Well, this is what I'm saying. But we're going off the guy being in jail.
Okay.
So in his case, it's very unique. Like he's sleeping with the woman in jail. Like he's cheating
And I
in
don't
jail.
understand that.
Is there a different rule for that? Because that's a unique situation. Like it's like he's not outside trying to cheat, but he's in jail and he's getting some.
Yeah, I
like,
remember trying to
so-
explain this to one of my friends. I was
This is
like,
a funny story.
oh, apparently Young Thug cheated on Mariah the Scientist.
Yeah.
And they go, wait, when he was out of jail or when he was in jail?
And he's in jail.
And I
That's
was like, in jail. And they're like, what? How does that? We're thinking maybe he was talking about like when he was out of jail, what he was doing, but he was
it's in
he
jail,
was in
it's
jail,
a
and it's like
correctional officer.
shouldn't, because you know people always say when people come out of prison they're ready for the army because they're so like they've been working out, they've been so regimented, but it's like what was going on instead, you know? And I think that is particularly difficult to handle.
That's difficult to deal with, and obviously she got embarrassed, whatever. But the problem is, it's such a unique situation, like cheating on someone while you're in the jail. Like, for me,
yes,
I could wait for a woman.
Yes,
I couldn't wait not one day. A woman in jail, I couldn't wait. I'm not gonna lie to you at all.
Let's say she took the fall for you.
If she took the fall for me, that's different. If she took the fall for me, that's loyalty. I can't disrespect loyalty. So that's the difference.
And so she was in for 10 years. Loyalty.
10 years. Well, if she was in for 10 years, she would know, and she wouldn't be selfish to be telling me to like not see any other chick. She knows that's not a possibility. But 10 years, I couldn't do 10. I won't lie to you. I would not do one day if a woman went to jail that I was dealing with. And the reason why I wouldn't do one day is because the implication of going to jail. And it sucks to say, and some people will do it, some people won't do it. Everyone has their own opinion on this, but it sucks to say, but that stress, that to deal with that for like that many years, even if it's 3 years, just to put that on your plate, especially someone, it depends. Like if you have a child with this woman, or if she's just a regular woman, you don't have a child or anything, you'll move on. Men, I think, can move on a little quicker in those scenarios where women might have a little more belief in the potential and all that stuff, where a guy's just going to be like, I'll just find another
it's the same
girl
way,
that'll
like, I
treat me the
think
same.
when people's partners pass away, I think women wait a little bit longer than men do too. I think so.
I don't know about like widows and their partners passing away, but yeah, I've seen scenarios where women, like,
even after breakups, like, I think typically women wait a little bit longer than men too.
But I think women can have sex quicker. Like they probably have sex quicker, but emotionally it takes them longer. But
you think so?
I think women can have sex to cope with their emotions, right? Like
I
to feel
always thought that was
after.
men.
No, because men would have to go through the gauntlet to get a. I say this to women, and it's unbelievable because I talk to a lot of women, and when I tell them like a man's experience, they're always so shocked. Like, what? No, men can't. Oh no, they don't get no girls, huh? What? It's like men don't get chicks. Like, what do we have to explain to you guys?
Maybe
Like,
it's a different story.
like I can't speak for myself, but even myself, I have my struggles. If I want certain women, I don't. I'm not. Especially the ones that I really want. You can say the ones I marginally want, I can probably get more easier. But the ones that I really want, those ones are really very much out of reach, right? So of course that's due to my pickiness. Like a guy like me can pick up a woman. It's not a big deal for me. But there's guys that don't look like me, that aren't in shape, that have more other issues and stuff of that nature, maybe not a good job, etc. And they can't get anything. I'm telling you, there's men like this. And I think women are always like so shocked, like, wait, what? Huh? He can't get that? It's like, you think every man is in shape and looks like the guys you're talking to, like, or the group of guys that you talk to? Like, no, not everyone's in shape. When you see a guy in shape, that's a rarity. You see a guy that's tall, like certain things, those are rarities. Those aren't every single guy. There's guys that are 5'4". What do we do with the 5'4" guy?
I guess because the communities that we're in also have a lot of fitter looking people.
This is the thing. So it's like, all you guys are fit. Like, all of you guys are this.
I think it changes your perspective a little bit more. So
you feel like it's abundance. Oh, it must be a bunch of you guys. All of you guys get women. Of course. It's like,
I think
no.
it makes it a little bit trickier because you're thinking to yourself, because of the people that you see around,
Absolutely.
oh my goodness, this is what everybody looks like.
And
so,
misconceptions, big misconceptions, like, oh, like you guys, like you must get a lot of girls, even especially like you're in shape, and you must get a lot of girls. You must do this, you must do that. Especially guys will hype you up, but it's like, potentially not. Like,
yeah, you might also
not.
want to do those things. So it's like,
Yeah, you might
because
not
you
want to
don't.
indulge in that anyways, but potentially you don't get that much girls that go your way or like, you know, offer their number to you or offer to talk to you. You might not get that. Like I said, I can't speak on myself. I only can speak on other people. So if I get that luck and that fortune, like I remember I was talking to someone, I was telling them, I'm like, fuck, when I was working like security, like a lot of girls would approach me. Like I get more women doing security than I would do on a regular day. I'm like, that's kind of strange. And then my other boy, he's good looking, well, decent looking, I guess you consider, average looking or whatever. And he was saying like, fuck, I never got approached by a girl in my life. And I'm like, oh, like I've been approached, not just work, but just generally. But he's saying he never got approached by a woman in his life. And it's like, I can't relate to that. Like I cannot, but he said he never had that experience. So he had to chase every single girl that he wanted. I didn't have to chase every single girl I wanted. Some girls that I wanted me too. So it was a little mutual.
That's nicer, yeah.
But he didn't have that. So he had to go fight tooth and nail to figure that out. So I notice women are a lot like very surprised when they think men have options, but you're talking about the average decent looking guy that's in decent shape and has a decent haircut. Like everything is pretty good.
Makes,
like
it works in their favor.
The prototype of guy you're thinking about has like everything pretty good. Like most guys aren't having everything like that good. Like
that well.
Exactly that well. So I think women have to just keep in perspective that, and even I keep it in perspective that not every guy's like me. I'm not like every guy. I'm not as tall as certain guys. I'm not as strong as other guys. You know, I'm not, but then I'm not as nerdy. I'm not as short as, you see what I'm saying? I have my advantages, but I have my disadvantages. And women see that more though. So I can think, oh, nothing's wrong with me. Like I dress good, I look good. But to a woman, she can be like, you're a shorty. Like, what are you talking? You're a little kid to me. And they can kill my confidence. You see what I'm saying? Like if I go to the girl I want, she's like, buddy, you're 5 whatever. Like I'm looking for 6'4". Like what are you talking about? Kill my confidence right away. Done. Every chick I've ever gotten, this one chick killed me now. She destroyed me. Now I'm like, oh, man. Now I'm going to second guess maybe if I go to another girl because I already got my confidence destroyed by someone that like maybe poked at a flaw of mine or something like that. But men have to learn to overcome. But see, for women, they don't deal with those type of rejection.
I think, a lot of women are mostly doing the rejection than anything else.
It's not like a man. Like a man could criticize you if he doesn't get your number, but that's out of like last ditch effort.
But you can,
like,
you can also tell that like it's coming from you rejected me, so I'm going to say something.
Yeah, because it'd be like, oh, you're not that good looking.
Plus, we also have our friends to gas us up again. Like I don't.
Well,
think
women have a support system.
Yeah,
men. I don't know.
You're left to the wolves.
You're left to the wolves. Man up. Take it on the chin. Keep moving forward. I say you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So all we think is keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. And that's how we operate. So I think just men have to. We do have to battle for our wins. We have to battle, and usually those wins. Aren't even worth it. So that's another thing, right? We sometimes fight tooth and nail to create a relationship or take this girl on a date. We try and do the most. And we realize that, you know, there's other tricks that women are playing that we're not aware of. Of course, catfish.
But men could be catfish too.
Huh?
I think everybody could be a catfish.
I guess catfish can go for anyone. I guess men have started to catch on. So they're like, fuck, I'm saying I'm 6'2" now. Like, I'm not going to say I'm my real height. I'm saying a fake height because you're telling me, you're showing me like you're a swimwear model. And when I see you, I'm seeing rolls. So if you have rolls, then I'm 6'2". We're equal. We're even.
I think catfish has to be up there in terms of the worst things a person could do when it comes to dating.
Yeah, false advertising.
I think I would
That's
rather.
called fraud. I call it fraud. And that's for those frauds out there.
It is. I think to myself, the ultimate worst thing that could happen is rejection, right?
Yes, of course.
You show somebody who you are and they're like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to buy into whatever it is that you're giving. But I think coming to a date and realizing somebody does not look the way that they said
Oh,
is
man.
actually, I think it has to be traumatizing for people. I do have a friend once who told me about how he once went out with this girl, and so he met her online on the apps, and she looked good. He thought, wow, good looking woman. He said he made sure to FaceTime her because he wanted to make sure everything
Yeah, make
checked
sure
out.
everything's
And when he gets to the date, he realizes she's bigger
bigger,
than she said, and he was
couple
thinking
pounds heavier.
exactly. So he was thinking back. He was like, actually, like she only did FaceTimes of her face.
Neck
So,
up.
exactly.
That's
And so
classic.
that's what tends to happen.
People know that trick already. The neck up is a no.
And
Red
so
flag and a half.
lots of people do talk about that, or they talk about how, like, sometimes with men they'll post older photos, like when they were in shape.
Yeah, men do that as well.
Like when they were
Older-
younger.
Absolutely.
And so then you're looking at them and you're like, well, what happened in this period of time?
I think,
you
but
know?
I feel like men can get away with that way more than like women, in
You
my
think so?
opinion. Like, because at the end of the day, like women are more concerned about like how the guy's kind of behaving towards them and what their experience is when they're there. Like, I mean, the guy can look a little more chubbier, but I don't think that's ultimately gonna dictate the difference.
I
like
think it
for a guy, like
depends.
if he treats you right on the date, even
Yeah.
if he was like a little bit chunkier, it's not a big deal. But for guys, we're so visual. So by the time I see you don't look like what I thought you looked like, I'm gone. Like my mind is I'm out of there. Like it's like no one's in this body. It's just a vessel. It's like the soul is gone. Like you're just getting a vessel, a body like this, stiff, like a robot. Like I'm not even engaged, right?
So what happens when, let's say you did meet a woman and she looked a certain type of way, 110% was your preference,
yeah.
and then changes during the relationship.
What do you mean changes?
Her body
Oh.
changes.
Okay,
So let's say.
so I know someone in the scenario
Okay.
that this had happened to, and I'll say what I would have done in the scenario. So I'm not gonna mention we're just gonna say somebody was dating someone and they're in good shape first for like the beginning stages, and as time has passed, obviously bad habits, eating late, junk food, not going to the gym, habits catch up, and it depends on your body type. So some people are more prone to getting bigger, like quicker. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they'll put on weight a lot faster than someone else with a different kind of body type. It depends on your genetics too.
Yeah.
So this woman let it get out of hand. First is a little bit chubby. Okay, you're a little thick, you know? We give you thick label.
Yeah.
But now it gets to you're kind of chubby now. You're getting chunky, and then it's like, okay, no, you're fat now. Like you're a big girl. So it just kept basically going downhill. And this person is dating this woman. Maybe had their reservation, never brought it up, but we can visually see, right? Like friends and everything like that. Now, I wouldn't bring it up. It's not really my place in terms of like weight or anything like that. Like whatever a guy likes, they like. But if I was in a scenario and I was with a woman and she she puts on weight, you're saying? If a woman puts on weight during the relationship?
Okay, I'll use it in the circumstances of like just nothing happened. Like let's say she didn't get pregnant, because I feel like getting pregnant is a completely different category. But for whatever reason, just during the relationship, she gained weight.
Well, if she gained weight in the relationship, I'd notice and I'd be like, okay, like, can we have a chat? Like, I'm noticing you're eating quite a quite a few
fair
meals.
enough, yeah.
Like, you need to. But see, I would have did that early. Like, I would have did that before we get to that point.
Okay.
Because I know how I am. I'm not a guy that like likes to watch. I really don't like to watch my partner indulge in that type of stuff, like junk food and this and that. Like that turned me off. Like, I want you to have a good, healthy diet so we don't cross this road. This is why you have to kind of know what you want to a certain degree, because I'm not gonna get with somebody that's gluttonous. Everything she wants to eat, like, oh yeah, I want to eat Burger King. I want to eat this. I want to eat that. It's like at a certain point, when am I gonna blame myself for choosing this woman when she now throws on 30 pounds? It's like you've seen it. You've seen what she was doing. You've seen what her habits are. So the only way this happens under my nose, like where I don't see it, is if like I hadn't seen her too often. Like I was busy with work or doing something where I'm not really paying attention.
Okay.
And then maybe, or if she's going through something, then I wouldn't make a big deal out of it. Like say something happened, someone passed away, lost a job, et cetera, et cetera. I wouldn't leave the relationship. I don't think it's grounds to leave. I would have a conversation and we'll be like, okay, let's try and figure this out.
something out. Yeah.
That's what I'll do in that situation. But like I said, I wouldn't deal with someone that was like gluttonous, where the future is right in my eyes. Like I can see that. So
it'd have to be something out of the ordinary, basically.
of course.
Yeah.
It's just like, for example, if I'm dating a chick and I get out of weight, she has absolute right to say, I'm out of here. Like, what do you want? Like, I came in, you were working out, you were doing this, you were doing that. Now you don't do that. Now you gain weight. Like, you're a completely different person. Like, literally your values change overnight or whatever the case may be. Now she can have the conversation with me. She should give me that right to be like, look, what's going on? Is there ways to fix this? Is it like mental? Is it just you're lazy? Is you don't have time? Like, what are we going to do? That's what you're owed in a relationship,
For sure.
an explanation and then trying to find a solution. Every relationship's owed a explanation and solution, option of a solution. That's what it should have before it becomes a breakup.
For sure. I think that's why I always just say to people, I feel like I'm not going to say all, but a lot of issues within a relationship come down to communication. As long as you can communicate correctly, and especially in a way that your partner or whoever it is that you're dealing with can understand, you will be in a better position, for sure. I do tend to find that for me, I take things better if it's like a conversation. Like if you're just like...
See, I understand that. I think you're supposed to have a healthy conversation when explaining things that you might not like in the relationship. I think you're supposed to have a healthy conversation. But I was having this conversation with someone else, and I was saying, as much as we would love to have a healthy conversation when it comes to change, when it comes to issues in the relationship, I think what happens is that with communication, there's direct communication and there's indirect communication. So what happens is, with men, we're indirect in our communication. So if we have something bothering us, we're just going to say it. Some guys are matter of fact. It depends. But when they're dealing with women, they're not so matter of fact because they have to worry about the woman's emotions. So they can't be blunt and brutally honest. Like, say, for example, they don't want to go to watch that show or that the concert that you wanted to go to. They can't just flat out be like, yo, honestly, I don't mess with the music. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Like, they can't say that because that's going to cause some friction in the relationship. It's like, oh, you don't want to spend time. You don't want to this. You don't want to that. And it's like, you're not open-minded, etc. But like I said, men won't be so direct with women. Now, they'll be indirect, though. So they'll say certain stuff like, you know what, like, maybe we should do this. Maybe we shouldn't spend as much. Maybe, like, they'll say those little things. They won't say, like, we cannot spend no more money and we cannot go out no more because I'm broke. Like, they're not going to say that because the woman's going to be like, oh.
They'll try to suggest.
Yeah, broke? Like, huh? Like, what do you mean you don't have money? Like, they don't want to deal with that because they know that too, that ties into the attraction and ties into the dynamic of the relationship. So you don't want to break that frame. Like, if you're known to be like a provider guy, you don't want to break that frame and then be like, oh, I'm incapable. Because now the woman's like, I don't want a guy that's incapable. I'm out of here, right? So you always want to show that you have the capability, but also that you have boundaries.
For sure.
But you're not going to directly say your boundaries. You might indirectly say it. So now, say you've been indirectly saying something to your girl, and then she's not catching on. She's not understanding. She's not trying to understand you. She's not being empathetic. The frustration's going to build on the guy. So now when it's time to have that healthy conversation, he's already been boiling up. Yeah. He's been boiling because it's like, I've been telling you this indirectly, but you never put the puzzle pieces together. But a guy that's in a relationship, he's not going to be like, okay, every single issue I have, I'm going to communicate to you directly. Now, a woman will. Will. Every single issue, she can come to you and be like, I don't like this. I don't want that. She'll say it, right? A guy's not going to be a nagger like that.
For sure.
You see, he's going to avoid nagging you and say, yo, I don't like when you do this. Yo, actually, I don't want to spend money. I don't want to go out. Like, he's not going to go ahead and tell you those things. He's just going to be indirect about it see if you can kind of understand without him actually saying
having
it.
to say it out
He
loud,
he wants to avoid the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
He just wants you to understand him. But if you don't have that understanding, or you lack that understanding, he's gonna be frustrated. Now when it comes down to like hashing out your differences and all that,
It's
you
a little
might
bit
not
more
get a healthy
heated,
conversation.
yeah.
You're gonna have a more emotionally charged conversation where you're like, I didn't even know. You should have told me. And it's like, I've been
Yeah.
telling you. Like, what
For
don't you
sure.
listen to? And then it's like, but you weren't direct. And it's like, if I was direct, we would have,
No,
you
I
know,
hear
like,
you.
we
It's a
probably have
completely
exploded. So
different-
it's tough.
yeah.
I feel like just guys are very indirect. Women are
Yeah.
more direct. So it's tough to get that like healthy communication sometimes.
Yeah.
So
And-
so I'd say like in the woman's side, she has to be able to deal with the truth. And then for the guy side, he has to be able to just express it without,
Yeah.
you know, at the same time, like I
Without-
said,
I
you
think
get put in
it's-
the doghouse as being a guy. You start expressing yourself on certain issues. Women's gonna start
it's
being
not
like, damn, this
necessarily
guy's controlling.
Yeah.
Shit. Could
I
try to
don't think
control
it's
my
necessarily
life.
expressing yourself with certain issues, because I think, in all fairness, in relationships, you should be able to talk about a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think you might not be able to talk about everything, but I think you should be able to talk about a lot of things.
Okay.
I just think it's how you express yourself, but you've said like just the differences between men and women and how it comes about.
Oh, for sure.
And I just think that these are such important things to talk about, especially as we go into cuffing season, which is the fall.
Absolutely. It is the time to think about these things. And it's just funny to have this conversation. I think it's good to get like two different perspectives when it comes to relationships, 50-50, communication. This is like a big topic when it comes to relationships. And I have these issues with, you know, women that I deal with where it comes to communication, lack thereof, and even trust issues with certain things. I think having these conversations or trying to see different perspectives, you get a little bit more of an understanding from a woman's perspective that's not in a relationship with you but outside and doing her own thing. I think even you get to hear my perspective. You can kind of see how men think on that side too. So I think it was an important conversation. Not exactly the direction we were thinking we were gonna go in, but I think sometimes natural conversations are just better when it comes
for
to
sure.
this. Yeah.
I do think that for me, like I guess because I'm very big on communication.
Yep.
I think I care about how people talk to me, and so I watch how I talk to other people, and I try to be as understanding as possible. I feel like sometimes I'm even too understanding, if that's even a thing, because I will always try to see a different perspective. It might not even make sense to me, but I will try to understand where a person is coming from. So I think a lot of the time when I think especially because I'm a thinker, like I don't know if people function that way, but before I even come to tell you something, I've thought about it. Like I've thought about it long and hard to try and figure out whether, number one, it's important, like to even talk to you about, or if it's like just a thought that I can deal with.
Yep.
And then two, like I anticipate the questions that somebody might ask me, and I try to have the answers for those questions, so it doesn't seem like this thing that I'm talking about is coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, so you're not emotionally charged. You actually have
exactly. And so
something to
I
back
always
it
say
up.
to people, I'm just like, I think if you tell somebody I'm not in a good spot to have a conversation right now, you have done your part. As long as you can come back and have that conversation at a better time, that should happen. Because I don't believe, unless it's really, really important, like I don't think you should have a conversation right there and then.
I think, you always need time to process.
Exactly.
Time to process, time to talk to somebody and then get to it. So I think that's what we got on today's podcast.
Yeah.
But definitely appreciate you coming
No
in.
problem.
Sonny's on vacation. We didn't get into much. He's gone. He's going to be back, but I'm holding down the fort with Lavinia.
Yeah.
You already know this is your boy, Far From Normal, Fuzzy Vision, and Lavinia, and we are out. Deuces.